every one of us, in every city, every minute of every day. From modernizing Russia's market economy
Thank you. We'd also like to welcome the Honourable Minister with the floral bouquet. Can I request Shri Jain, Vice President, ASSOCHAM, to kindly present a bouquet to the Honourable Minister and welcome him. Also requesting Mr. P. Balaji, Chairperson, ASSOCHAM National Council on Telecommunications, to also present a bouquet to the Honourable Minister.
Of the day to drive the growth and create a conducive environment for telecom sectors. We believe these issues which have come out in the report will be taken up seriously by the government, and the Honourable Minister will see that how we can overcome these difficulties and move forward on this Digital India platform. I again once welcome the Honourable Minister being with us and sparing his valuable time in this conference. Thank you, friends.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jain. Inviting now Shri P. Balaji, Chairperson, ASSOCHAM National Council on Telecommunications and Convergence, to present the theme.
Honorable Minister Shri Ravi Shankar Prasad, senior officers of the Government of India, distinguished leaders of the industry, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome. We are really enthused by the presence of the Honorable Minister who has taken time to be here with us on the occasion of the ASSOCHAM National Telecom Conference, which also coincides with the week of the World Telecom and Information Society Day, and more importantly, with the on the eve of the government completing 2 very glorious years. This government has been working relentlessly to boost the economy ever since it took over, and has set such a fantastic tone with visionary initiatives like Digital India, Make in India and Skill India, among many others. There have been many other progressive programs which have been launched, particularly towards improving the lives of ordinary citizens in India. And in a small way, our telecom sector is in fact going to be helping achieve some of these objectives. We are fortunate indeed to have the Honourable Minister who has done so much in the direction of building a digitally connected India. We all know that the number of impactful policy initiatives that have been taken under his leadership in the last 2 years far exceeds what has ever been done in any duration of time of this nature before. Frankly, several initiatives that have been lying on the table for 5 to 7 years have been brought to life in a very, very short time frame, which is a testimony of his clarity of mind and also his relentless drive. I just take the opportunity to mention a few that from the industry we are very grateful that have been done. Under his leadership, we've had not only the most successful auction ever, but also the largest ever auction in terms of spectrum pool that has come to being. The entire policy on spectrum trading and sharing, the active infrastructure sharing are truly far-reaching in making sure that, in fact, some of us start to wonder that at the end of this entire exercise, probably the word scarcity will disappear from the lexicon of spectrum, and that's, I think, a testimony to the Honourable Minister. So, huge round of applause to him for this. Not only on broad policy framework issues, but he has shown tremendous energy and support on many small ground, grassroots level issues as well. He's the one who's actually made available government buildings for towers to come up in many areas in Delhi where we are facing issues with local bodies. He's the one who's actually spoken and told them to support the industry, and we can never repay that kind of trust that he has placed in us. The support that he has given and led from the front on EMF campaign to allay the fear of the citizens, because no matter what the industry does, unless someone like him, the minister, actually puts the whole government machinery to work to clarify. After, by the way, it was only after he had clarified himself that there was no radiation fear that he said, now I'm convinced, now I'll be your advocate. That kind of an approach is something which is, unparalleled in the history of the telecom sector. The recent harmonization process which has been done. Again, several years things were lying between defense and the Department of Telecom, and he has ensured that it has all come together in a very wonderful manner. Even the public sector, BSNL, has made operating profits under his tenure, which is again, a testimony of the way he's driving every part of the sector, whether it's the private sector or the government sector. He's been impartial, and he's one of those people who said, "You walk 2 steps, and I'll walk 5 steps ahead of you." And that's a very, very encouraging thing for us to have as an industry. Honorable Minister, sir, you have told us in the private sector that you need to invest more. I am doing what I can do, but you need to invest more. On behalf of the entire industry, I'm happy to state that in the last 15 months alone, nearly 300,000 sites, sir, have been put up by us as a sector, which in a 15-month period is 5 times more than ever done in a similar period of time, because it's 30% of the entire cumulative investment made in 20 years, sir. So, because we just said that this is something that you're leading from the front, and we need to kind of do what we have to do to put our foot forward. Of course, from the handset side, Pankaj is here, and the fact that we have hit 110 million handsets locally manufactured, again because of the encouragement. I remember the roadshows that you have taken to different parts of the country very early in your tenure, and the energy that you boosted in the investors has resulted in the situation where we can say very proudly that we have a very good chance of putting our investment and driving the vision that you have of 500 million to be manufactured in India in 2020. So in the backdrop of this, we felt it would be a good initiative for us from ASSOCHAM to have this industry government collaborative workshop. We've consciously chosen it as a workshop, sir, because in that sense, we can say thanks to the excellent initiative that you and the other government officers led by the secretaries have done. At the same time, for us to also request a few changes that are done, which will be presented by the KPMG colleagues. We are sure, sir, with your support, which we have received already so far, and the small issues that we may raise during the course of today or in the coming weeks, that it will facilitate further and ease the business for us, and that we will definitely, sir, try to match your pace. I know, as you said, you really walk five steps when you walk 2, but we will do our best to continue to stay invested, and the responsibility that you're reposing on us for making sure that we make a digital connected society and also achieve the goal of digitally empowered citizens. We will do what we have to do, sir. And thank you once again for taking time and being with us.
Well, thank you, Mr. Balaji. Next, we have the industry address by Shri Akhil Gupta, the Vice Chairperson, Bharti Enterprises, and Executive Chairperson, Bharti Infratel Limited. I'll invite him now to talk to all of us.
Ravi, Shankar, Prasad, dignitaries, friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, congratulations to ASSOCHAM on the 9th Telecom Summit. I'm actually very impressed with your theme of accelerating the digital growth and also ease of doing business, because this is a real forward-looking, futuristic way of looking at things, for which various workshops I know have been organized. I think as we talk of the future, and that's how it should be, it is perhaps a little important to see why this time is absolutely apt. And the reason why I feel the time is apt is because in the last 2 decades, or a little more than that, the foundation which the telecom industry has laid is the perfect platform for taking off on virtually a vertical basis, which India will need to do to have this digital growth and the digital India theme. So, in a nutshell, let me just point out a few of those. Today, we cover about 95% of the total population, 90% of the geography, over 800,000 towns and villages, over 1 billion telecom customers, over 1 million kilometers of optic fiber, 500,000 towers, over 1 million base stations. We have, besides that, the distinction, the privilege, and we are proud to state that this is a country where the tariffs are the lowest in the world, globally the lowest tariffs in the world, and that's the reason why we have 1 billion people connected to telecom. We are also, as an industry in India, pioneers in infrastructure sharing. We have taught the world how the infrastructure, particularly the passive infrastructure, can be shared and costs can be reduced. We have the strictest possible EFM norms. This despite the fact that the per operator spectrum available to us is significantly lower than what's available to our counterparts all over the world. So I think a great platform. But let's talk of future. I think first let me talk of the future for India. In one word, I would say the future for India is being digital India. There's no question about it. A lot of things revolve around that. And when I look at the future for telecom services sector in India, one word is the data revolution, which we have to capture, which is engulfing the entire world. Both to me mean the same thing, because both mean connecting every Indian to internet as soon as possible. We have all discussed it at length. In a country where fixed line is not too much there, I think the only way to do this is through mobile or the wireless way. But unfortunately, there is a long way to go here, because only 50% or maybe perhaps a little lower than that, the number of towers are what are today connected onto mobile broadband, mainly 3G and or 4G, but mainly 3G. Therefore, as an industry, the first task before us to contribute to digital India will be that we replicate as soon as possible the 3G network to the extent of what 2G is today. Discussions with our colleagues in the industry, I am very confident that this is a project which we will accomplish maximum within 18 to 24 months. Within that period, the industry intends that in every place where today there is voice connectivity, there will be 3G connectivity at least, which is the most affordable service for the masses today. Without a doubt, I think once we are able to achieve this, this would be a wonderful backbone and a platform for the various wonderful initiatives, unbelievable initiatives which this government is doing. Things like the direct subsidy transfer to the masses. I think most people underestimate the power of these kind of projects. What has been achieved in a short time and what will be achieved as we spread mobile broadband connectivity across the country on these matters is unbelievable, unprecedented for any part of the world. Government is already talking in big ways about various e-initiatives on education, on health. We have heard of crop insurance, life insurance, and these are all really inclusive growth programs, because these are not about some elite programs of giving 100 Mbps speed to somebody. This is what would connect the masses to us. These would also, the infrastructure we'll create, will also become the backbone for the smart city program of the government. It will also be a major requirement of the Startup India program, because everything which is being done on the startup side, which is technology based, will definitely need mobile broadband. Equally important, the infrastructure which we'll create will also dovetail with whatever is happening on the technological front across the world. Namely, e-commerce. You are all aware how e-commerce is spreading. That needs mobile networks or with good internet connectivity. Internet of Things, that's the machine-to-machine communication. I think it's actually unimaginable today what all can be done by that, but one thing is clear. Every initiative on IoT will need robust networks. M-payments, mobile money transfers, I think are already starting, but I'm sure within the next one and a half years, we will see every small person who comes into the city to support his family seamlessly transfer money across this country to every nook and corner of India. And I think that is what will provide inclusive growth. Of course, telecom sector is not just confined to services. The other two big programs that the government of India has on Make in India, I think telecom has a major role to play. We are already seeing global interest in manufacturing the devices in India. Virtually every big device manufacturer is lining up to bring manufacturing facilities here. The other big program is Skill India, and again telecom is one sector which, unlike many other sectors, as telecom grows, there is more and more employment because in many sense, the number of people required for telecom are kind of proportionate to the level of growth and the level of volume that we produce. So let me talk about, from the industry perspective, what is the need of the hour to be able to achieve all these within the time frame that I mentioned. Now, I'm aware, typically, sir, it's customary to first ask what the government can do for us, but let me change the trend. I think I want to start by saying, first, what the industry itself needs to do within its own parameters and within its own confines, talking to each other, what can we do to achieve all this? One, very clearly, we need to expand our networks. We need to get to the 3G footprint as soon as possible, gradually increase the 4G footprint. More important, or equally important besides that, is our focus on quality of service. I think a lot has been made out about quality of service, on call drops, and a general impression has been created as if the government, the TRAI and the industry have been at loggerheads on this, they've been on the opposite sides. I would like to state on behalf of everybody in the industry, this is absolutely farthest from the truth. We are all on the same side, but as would happen in any issue, there could be technical issues on which there are differences, but that does not mean that on the fundamental issue about quality of service, we have different ways of looking at it. In fact, I would like to state that the bad quality of service actually affects the operators the most. Not only reputation, they actually lose revenue because our billing is per second. So I would like to dispel the doubt that quality of service is not the operator's concern. But again, the need of the hour is that each one of us step up to provide the best possible quality of service within the constraints of laws of physics and other constraints, but well within the laid down standards. And this we are going to do by way of self-regulation. Some steps have already been started and taken in that direction, but the whole industry, I think, is committed to doing it on a self-regulation basis. The support which we are receiving from the Government of India, the DOT, the regulator, and the Minister personally is something which is unbelievable. And while a lot of things have been said, let me point out just a few issues where I think the imprint of seriousness of the DOT led by the Honorable Minister is very clear. The first is on the right of way. And that's the biggest bottleneck for the industry in rolling out the networks. And under his leadership, DOT has already, as you would be aware, sent letters and instructions or requests and appeals to every ministry to provide the government buildings which will be needed to provide right coverage. Number two, DOT has already come out with model guidelines and issued it to the states with respect to right of way for the towers and optic fiber laying. And number three, and this is something, so I have to personally thank you on behalf of every member. Not too many ministers in any country would go personally on a video and on record to say that radiation norms in India are absolutely safe, and appeal to every citizen in this country, please do not create bottlenecks on account of such misinformation. I think these are big things for the industry, sir, and we will continue to keep working on this. I think a couple of things which perhaps we would need your support and your advice is, one, I think the government levies and taxes on an ongoing basis are a little too high on this industry. And perhaps we should find ways without really compromising on the government revenue and ensuring that whatever is the relief is passed on to the customer immediately. I think we should take jointly some steps towards that. The other issue which is certainly, I think, plaguing the industry is a lot of litigation and a lot of demands. I think again, as industry and DOT, we should sit down and try and find some amicable solution to see that only the legitimate demands where we could have a different viewpoint remain, and on others, let's try and settle that amicably. We also need to work with the state governments. We have had your support on this, but I think that we have still not found the solution how it can be legally binding, and I think there, besides you as a minister, we have to appeal to you as a legal expert to guide us on this. Finally, I think the best thing which both of us as industry and the government has to work together is to ensure financial health of this sector. Unfortunately, for all which has been done in 20 years, the financial health is not very healthy. And I won't put the blame only on the government, because while it's easy to say that spectrum is very costly and so on and so forth, I would again say the onus, and I would like to appeal to all in the industry, the onus is on the industry, because we have been indisciplined in our approach when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to freebies. And I think we need to recognize that no bankrupt industry will be able to make the investments which this sector requires. So, sir, in summary, let me, on behalf of all my colleagues in the industry, thank you and all your colleagues for massive support. On behalf of everybody, I can assure you of a few things, absolutely emphatically. This industry, sir, is ready, it's committed, it's passionate, and it's absolutely hell-bent upon doing whatever we can to support the Government of India initiatives of Digital India and other initiatives. We will make every investment that is required to take this internet connectivity to everybody in this country, however deep down in the country it may be. And also, sir, I can assure that there will be a focus on quality, on a self-regulation basis, and I'm sure as you would see these things unfolding, you will not find us wanting. I have no doubt about a very bright future for telecom industry in India, and our ability to make contribution to a very bright future for India. I look forward to working very closely as an industry with DOT, TRAI and all the other government agencies to make this a reality. Thank you very much, sir.
So thank you very much, Mr. Gupta, for sharing with us your views. May I now invite Shri Shetty, Partner and Head Telecommunications, KPMG in India, to kindly share with us the key findings of the day.
Honorable Minister, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's been a really good day, because we work across many countries, and it's great to see the government, the regulator, and the industry associations all work together. So today, while we discussed many challenges, but I think the good part was we discussed on a number of solutions as well. So I think one of the key things, and when different people look at India, everybody is really amazed at how telecom has actually changed the lifeline of India. I mean, if you look at whether it's 1 billion connections, it's about the number of internet users, the data revenue share moving, and most importantly, the data revenue share is not just moving in the metropolitan cities. Today in the hinterlands of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, actually we see massive explosion happening. And India, unlike other countries, telecom has actually helped in the economic life cycle of people. So it's not just about making a difference in people communicating, but it's about their livelihoods, which has changed. And Akhil mentioned about the fact in terms of the number of industries that get affected by this, whether it's healthcare, whether it's auto, whether it's financial services. Today we're actually moving towards a cashless economy. Today we're moving towards subsidies being directed in the best possible way because of Aadhaar, because of the number of initiatives that from a mobile phone you can actually do. And I think with the government really moving towards key programs such as in terms of smart cities, in terms of digital India, in terms of Make in India, Startup India, I think that is going to lead to the next revolution. If India can catch up with the developed world, the telco industry is the one which will actually enable that to actually happen. We discussed, and I think the challenge with always going before Akhil is there are not too many challenges left because he's obviously spoken about some of the key things. But what I'll do is just talk about some areas where I think if we can enable and manage those challenges, I think this industry and the benefit to people will be far higher. So whether it's in terms of the AGR, in terms of the definition, in terms of the clarity itself, whether in terms of your Know Your Customer and your SACFA certifications, whether it's in terms of multiple levies. Today we have state government, we have central government, we have different kinds of levies and taxes, whether it's on preferential market access policy, whether it's in terms of just the infrastructure to support compliance, whether it's on security testing or standards. I think these are some key challenges, but like I mentioned, during the entire session today, I think clearly from a government and the regulator, we're clearly aware of each of these challenges and already have made efforts. I mean, the government has already done things on spectrum trading sharing, the harmonization, for example, amongst different bands. So, and it's continuing, and today it was a continuation of the same. Some really important takeaways from today's session were really saying that let's have joint working groups between DOT, TRA and the industry, because that I think will actually clearly help. And today's session was actually a first in that, because I've seen many other sessions, but this is the first time when the three of them actually got together. A very healthy debate and no finger pointing. It was really about saying, okay, what do we really do and how do we deliberate? Second, clearly in terms of some issues such as AGR and others, to bring in more clarity and to bring in some policy alignment across different segments of the government. In terms of equipment providers, what was really discussed was in terms of how could we simplify procedures around the PMA policy, how could we leverage digital ID systems. One of the things that I think the government has really launched is Digital India. Can we make all approvals online? Can we stop any kind of paper? I think the amount of paper that is probably wasted, can we completely reduce that by getting everything online, including approvals, including tracking? And one of the things also in terms of the big boost will come when more handsets gets manufactured in India, through, for example, whether it's simplification in terms of the labor's duties, testing, and also some tax stops to actually help grow this industry. Ultimately, if we can actually have from a right of way, from the spectrum itself, some of these things if we simplify, get the permissions, get the approvals much faster, it will lead to better quality of service. It will lead to lesser disputes. I think the industry has a lot of disputes, but if we can clarify and have clear procedures, I think it will lead to lesser disputes, simplification of procedures, digitization, and ultimately cost effective. The government, I think a great initiative from the government has been the ease of doing business. If we can carry out some of the key challenges that we mentioned, whether it's the ease of doing business or whether it's the cost of doing business, both will actually be enhanced significantly. So these are some of the key things, and thank you very much from KPMG for giving us this opportunity from ASSOCHAM on all the industry associations, and of course working with the government and the regulator. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shetty. It is now time, ladies and gentlemen, to release the ASSOCHAM KPMG Compendium of Study. May I request the Honourable Minister and distinguished dignitaries. We also have Mr. Richard Rekhy on the dais. He's the Chief Executive Officer, KPMG in India. Also inviting Shri T.R. Dua, Mr. Ashok Sood, Rajan Matthews, Mr. Pankaj Mohindru, Mr. Sandeep Girotra, and Mr. Ramu Pachala to also join us on the stage for this release. Jointly prepared, ladies and gentlemen, by ASSOCHAM and KPMG in India. This is the knowledge report on powering digital India through ease of doing business. This now released by the Honourable Minister and distinguished dignitaries. Inviting now the Honourable Minister himself, Shri Ravi Shankar Prasad, for the inaugural address.
Mr. Jain, Vice President ASSOCHAM, Mr. Akhil Gupta, Chairman TAIPA, Balaji, Chairman ASSOCHAM National Council on Telecom, Mr. Richard Rekhy, MD of the KPMG, ladies and gentlemen. For me, I get a good opportunity to understand your concerns and also share some of my own and expectations from you. That's how I see it. Since we are completing 2 years of our government, one of the first concerns of mine was to change the image of Sanchar Bhavan. the center of decision making in the Department of Telecommunications, was in the news for all the wrong reasons for the last many years. It was important to set right the process and generate a sense of confidence, revisit the rules of the game, and also create an enabling atmosphere for growth. If we see down the line 2 years, I can only say that there has been a modest success. The entry of middleman in the Sanchar Bhavan is banned, and I'm very firm about it. My principle is very clear: whatever is doable shall always be done, regardless of whatever you do. Whatever is not doable shall not be done, regardless of whatever you say. And I've tried my best to measure myself up to that commitment which I fixed for myself. I have already cleared. I'm happy to hear some of the kind words about me. Thanks a lot. But it was nothing that you needed to become proactive about that. I deemed it as a part of my responsibility as a minister to play a very key role in the finalization of those policies, some of which were pending for the last almost 7 to 10 years. From identification of defense bands, spectrum sharing, spectrum trading, harmonization, liberalization, cabinet approval, guideline being followed, and thereafter a host of other issues. Therefore, a spectrum issue has been addressed. Yes, I'm happy to hear that our auction, last auction, the highest ever, has also generated confidence among all of you. And I think in the coming 2-3 months, as I expect, we will go for the highest ever auction of 2,000 megawatts, so that you have ample spectrum available from sharing, from trading, and also auction-centric spectrum availability. Therefore, I don't think there should at all be any occasion for you to make any grievance as far as availability of auction is concerned, the spectrum is concerned. Yes, for the growth sector, it was needed that we need to be proactive on a whole range of issues, from right of way, not only government buildings, that I'm also the Minister for Postal. I've also instructed the Postal Department to make their buildings available for installation of towers and sites. And I've written to state governments also from the right of way perspective, their views are needed. And I assure you that we shall be expediting it. Yes, I realize that I need to become proactive on the so-called misgivings about radiation. Therefore, once I became convinced myself, I started speaking inside the parliament, outside the parliament. And I would request all of you to play a further proactive role in dissemination of, in disabusing some of the misgivings which still may persist. Only yesterday I came out from Sweden. I had gone for a bilateral visit. So I was having a walk with my private secretary and other officers. We keep on talking, but my eyes always keep on locating the sites and the towers over the buildings. Do they have a problem there or not? When I was not able to locate them, my PS said, "Sir, see, that is there, the small one." And I could realize sites were there too. A month and a half ago, we had gone to Morocco for the ICANN meet. And while driving from the main airport to Marrakesh, again, in the 2-hour journey, my eyes were locating where the towers. The first thing I would like to say, they are beautiful towers, covered under some coconut tree model or other models. You start thinking about that. They will look lovely. And they will not also irritate the people. It is time for all to replicate those models. And as I have told in the parliament, I would like to repeat here, the more I convinced about this, that why it is not an issue in America, it is not an issue in Europe, It is not an issue in China. It is not an issue in adjoining neighboring countries from Nepal to Pakistan to Bangladesh, and suddenly it became a big issue. I am not in the blame game at all, but certainly some of the surrounding circumstances appear to be very curious. Therefore, I spoke very strongly and persistently. I would like all of you to also join in this effort in a very calm, cooler way, with logic, with reasons and medical evidence. That's what I will expect from all of you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am creating 5 platforms I would like to share with you. I've also earlier talked about it. First is obviously the optical fiber network, whereby we are linking 250,000 Gram Panchayats of India by optical fiber network. This program, as NOFUN, was started in 2011, and we had to revisit some of its premises. Now this BharatNet, some more structural changes was required to be done, and we are trying our best to meet the deadline. And when our government came in June 2014, the optical fiber pipe laid was 2,292 kilometers, and optical fiber laid was 358 kilometers. And today is the 20th of May. I am giving you a 16th May 2016 statistics. Optical fiber pipe laid 1,41,772 kilometers, and optical fiber laid is 1,14,220 kilometers. Therefore, what was the growth in 3 years and what was the growth in 1 year 11 months is for you to see. I am given to understand that weekly performance of optical fiber laying is 1,336 kilometers. I personally monitor it to further scale it up. And what I foresee, as of now, optical fiber pipe has been laid in 61,479 Gram Panchayats, and optical fiber has been laid in 50,613 Gram Panchayats. I think by this year end, or maximum by February, March next year, 1 lakh Gram Panchayats will be completed completely, and by 2018 middle, 2,50,000 Gram Panchayats should be completed. That's the target I have given to all my officers. Maybe a couple of months here and there you'll have to allow that leeway. This is the first part I am doing. Since we are going to the center of the village, we also need to go to the villages beyond. And for that I have done some policy initiative. We have got about 199,000 common service centers in the country. They were just about 83,000 when our government came to power. They are doing a great job, from e-ticketing to making Aadhaar card to making e-passport to other digital delivery of services in the hinterland. And I applaud their good work in e-commerce. And therefore, to enable them to become successful entrepreneur in internet delivery, we have decided in principle to give internet service provider license to common service centers. That's what we have done, so that once the optical fiber reaches the cluster of villages, namely the Gram Panchayat, from there they can pick up to Wi-Fi connection and do the service to, say, 50 villages, 10 villages, 20 villages as they wish. This is the second infrastructure which I have created in the process. The third is the policy decision of virtual mobile network, a policy which I have already cleared, and we are coming very soon with the guideline. Without owning an infrastructure or a spectrum, you can operate in conjunction with an existing network operator. The guideline will come. I think this will also, and I am given to understand that some of the major local and international players have even keen interest. This is my third layer of infrastructure platform I am creating. The fourth, ladies and gentlemen, is the extraordinary reach of my postal circle. You know, we have got 1,55,000 post offices in the country. And I remember when I became minister, our Prime Minister, a dynamic leader, keeps on taking presentations. And in my department, when he came, he asked me one question. Ravi, डाकिया का क्या हाल है? उसका तुम ध्यान रखना, वो भारत सरकार का प्रतिनिधि है हर गांव में. I got the hint. And the second thing he asked me, ये बताओ बिहार यूपी का कोई नौजवान केरला या मुंबई में काम करता है तो अपनी गरीब माँ को गांव में वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली पोस्ट ऑफिस में पैसा ट्रांसफर कर सकता है? आई ऑनेस्टली एक्नॉलेज, सर अभी तो नहीं हो सकता. Karvi, I want this. I could get an indication that the postal revival is an important agenda of his priority. I went for this whole digitization is going on, but core banking solutions. I just wanted to tell you that in the core banking solutions, when my government has come, only 230 branches of the postal had core banking solutions. Today, 21,664 branches have been given core banking solutions. And by June, all the 25,000 regular post offices, districts, sub-districts will be having core banking solutions. And I'm happy to tell you today, ladies and gentlemen, that the postal core banking today is the largest in the country, surpassing even the state bank core banking solution, which is only 16,600. That's what we have achieved. Digital payment through ATM is equally important. Postal ATM only. When our government has come, only 4 ATM have been installed. Now we have installed by May 913 ATMs. And in the coming 2 years, we have proposed to install 2,000 more. Therefore, this digital, today all the post offices are on GPS. You can do their locations. And what we are initiating further, ladies and gentlemen, the reason as to why I am sharing all this idea and infrastructure policy initiative, so that you can juxtapose your own digital initiative with them, because mobile will remain an important component of that. It's entirely for you to take a call. To 130,000 rural post offices, we are going to give solar power handheld device, whereby they can go to the villages, they can render all the services, all the third-party services, from insurance to all. And I have told my officer that we have to be flexible. If a smart postman wants to render all these services through a smartphone, he must have the liberty. That's also I have given to that. Next year, March, we are going to install postal payment bank. My huge network from Kedarnath to Kashmir is there. Ladies and gentlemen, just in principle approval has been granted. And already about 50 plus international and national companies are keen to partner with India Post. And they include Deutsche Bank to Citibank to Templeton to World Bank and all the banks of India, all the insurance companies of India minus LIC and all the mutual funds. Once this whole postal network becomes active, you understand the kind of exposure you are going to get. You can understand the kind of business opportunities you are going to get. And the last is call centers BPO in small municipal towns and areas of India, for which already the tender has been invited. You may go online and see how to apply. 48,000 seats are there. And all the hinterland of India, they are there. Minus the digitally rich areas. Now, how the country's mood is, we have selected 48,000 seats, to which we propose to give some subsidy also per seat. And as I have said earlier, we went for an expression of interest in the country, whether country is prepared to accept rural BPO scheme or not. And against the proposed 48,000 seats which we have allocated statewide as per the census population, UP gets 8,000. That means 8,888 call centers. Bihar gets 4,444 call centers, like that. Against 48,000 seats, 78 companies expressed their interest in 1,25,000 seats at 190 locations of India. And the locations were Bhagalpur, Muzaffarpur, Samastipur, Aurangabad, Jaisalmer, Jabalpur, Saharanpur, Balia, Gorakhpur. It was even an amazing experience for me. This is the change India is waiting to happen. And in all these 5 platforms I talked about, ladies and gentlemen, the mobile will continue to play the most important role. When I cross-checked from Pankaj Mahendru, what is the exact number of smartphones he's having in our country? Last time he said 100 million sold last year and 217 million, which he confirmed again this afternoon. Now 227 million. Am I right, Pankaj? Huh? 270. He further raises it up. Now you understand the meaning of 27 crore mobile Hindustan mein smartphone. 100 crore सिर्फ 10 crore सिर्फ last year बिके. Now this keen desire to own a smartphone, if the same pace continues, don't be surprised after coming 2 to 3 years, India will home to 50 crore 500 million mobile smartphones. And what you all need to understand, this journey from desktop to laptop to smartphone is a phenomenal journey. I remember sharing a peculiar data in my interaction in Stockholm that only mobile phones added between April 2014 to February 2016 is 122.66 million. And it was a decline of 14.66 million in April 12 to 2014, 2 years. 2 years to 2 years. Now this addition of 122.66 million mobile phone in 2 years means the population of France and Sweden and Italy together. That's the scale we are working with. That being the scenario, you can understand why when the Prime Minister says always, I want governance to be available in the palm of every Indian. And the palm means the smartphone. If that be the scenario, and the kind of data fascination rising in the country, you can straight away understand what is the business case awaiting for you to exploit and enjoy both. I hear credible reports that digital India is going to be a $1 trillion economy in the coming 5 years. About 400 billion would be obviously electronic manufacturing. We are consuming, as you know, if we don't start manufacturing in India, one of the reasons as to why I made electronic manufacturing a key component of my commitment towards my department. I am also the Minister for Electronics apart from Post, Communication and IT. Now, when I was told that India last year made 11 million mobile phones in India, manufactured. All the top companies of the world are in India. And since he has made a public statement that his commitment to India is going to be for 1,000 years, I take this opportunity also to publicly compliment the CEO of Apple, who is in India, for his public commitment towards the attachment of India. We need to work together for growth, investment, manufacturing and value addition. But what is important is the market is growing. About, yesterday I see $350 billion is going to be the IT and IT-enabled services. Another 250 billion would going to be the communication component of it. Therefore, it is going to be a very win-win case for all of you to have a sound business case also as far as India is concerned. The reason as to why I thought today I would like to unfold my own vision, the government's vision as to how we see digital India and the role of all of you in that large sector. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have some experience of seeing the mood of India, being an activist for my student life. I was a minister earlier in the Bajpayee government, I'm a minister again. I have been in charge of about 7 to 9 states of India on behalf of my party. There comes a time in the life of a country when you reach a tipping point. And India digitally is at a tipping point. A big revolution is waiting to explode. And why I say so? The biggest experience for me, which I'd like to share, is the explosion of e-commerce in India. Recently, a television company was doing a story on me, on the postal transformation which we have done. I pushed my postal into e-commerce delivery in a big way. The first thing I set them apart that first improve your services. I started monitoring it. This speed post now has a big rise of about 12% in revenue, and the CAG adjudged them as the best delivery in India, service in India. 900 e-commerce companies today are having liaison with the postal department for delivery of e-commerce. And the e-commerce revenue, a parcel revenue which was down 2% in 13-14, rose by 45% in 14-15, has risen by 80% in 15-16, 31st of March. That's how we are looking at. I had gone to a field visit. Many of the premises of postal which was used to throw away dirty bags have been now computerized, delivery center, processing center, conveyor belts. So they had arranged, and this is a mood changing of India which I would like to communicate here. So many of the e-commerce players have come to meet me there. I met a young lady there. Tum kya karti ho? My portal is poojapat.com. I was surprised. What do you do? NRIs have big potential market from agarbatti to dhoop batti to everything. And I thought this is a gap area. I went there and I'm having a booming market and I'm happy postal department is doing a good service for me. I said, what is the future? Astrology.com. What the hell is this? Many of the NRIs don't get pundits to set right their charts. I knew it is a gap area. Now I'm going to work, only send the right time of your newly born and the proper horoscope will follow. See the entrepreneurial ability of India as to how they can work with technology to service themselves, make a good business case. And I'm telling you, it is going to be replicated again and again. One experience I have shared again, but let me complete this e-commerce story. From there I went to Hapur. I consciously did not go to a big town. Hapur is a secret town of Uttar Pradesh. I could see all the postmen excited, big consignments delivering e-commerce, and regaining their relevance. And from there I went 50 kilometers inside into a rural post office. And I had told them, don't introduce who I am, let me understand things myself. A young girl came in the post office. Her consignment had come of a particular company. I asked her, my rural postman was a little jittery. I'm going to keep quiet, don't introduce me to her. She didn't recognize me and I'm very happy. I asked her, तुमने क्या मंगाया है? उसने कहा ज्वेलरी मंगाया है. कहा कहाँ से मंगाया? कहा मुंबई से मंगाया है. मैंने कहा कैसे ऑर्डर किया? कहा टीवी में देखा, अपने स्मार्टफोन से ऑर्डर कर दिया. This is the new India emerging, and this India is going to rise and rise and rise. E-commerce, e-education, e-health, e-delivery of services. This only reinforces the enormous potential of Indians, which only validates my premise, which I always say, Indians first watch technology, then they adopt it, then they start enjoying it, and then they become empowered in the process. And this tipping point in the history of India has arrived today, where all of you have to play a very crucial role, and our government is becoming a true facilitator. Other example I wish to share with you here, I learned to my present surprise that a Bidi Majdoor from Telangana Satamma had become digitally literate. I tweeted on my Twitter account congratulating her. She became a celebrity in Telangana. A lot of Telugu channels came to interview her. When I learned, I said I would like to talk to her. I put one of my common service centers guy to translate my conversation because she didn't know English or Hindi either. I asked her how you chose to become digitally literate. And the reply she gave is fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. This is the potential of India. She said, my son is a plumber working in Dubai. I was missing him and my grandchild. And I was told if I had to talk to them and want to see their face, go and do Skype. For doing Skype, I had to become digitally literate. And now I enjoy talking to my grandson every alternate day. This is the India waiting to happen. And this is the India which offers great opportunity. I'm happy that you have organized this interaction. Some of the issues which you have flagged, we'll certainly sit down and work it out. I don't think any policy initiative on my part is pending. I've already set up a committee for rationalization of the penalty issues. They are in the process of finalizing that. I will take a call even quickly thereafter that you have a concern about some of the penalties for to be imposed or some of the violations part of it. I have been open. Now, I have done my duty, but you need to do your duty as well. And that 9th Telecom India accelerating digital growth and ease of doing business. Yes, one more announcement I have to make. I understand the Secretary must have cleared that SAKSA clearances part of it. I'm expediting it. That's not a big deal at all. I want to assure you. And this Bharat Kosh, which Balaji was talking about, of payment being made through a portal in eDot, I've already signed the file. Therefore, you need not go. You can make your license fee payment digitally. I have done my duty. But I would have really appreciated 9th Telecom India Summit accelerating digital growth and ease of doing business must have the last expression with comfortable and convenient service. Don't forget that. And as a minister, I always say I am the minister for growth of telecom. I am also the minister for the interest of consumers of telecom. That is my accountability. They ask me questions. I have to reply to them in public forum and also in the parliament. Therefore, good service, qualitative service, this self-regulation part, Mr. Gupta, I don't understand very much. I only want people to be satisfied. What is the self-regulation is your call. But as a minister, I will persuade, I will request, and I will also show firmness. Why I say so? Balaji talked about I am willing to walk 5 steps. How is it that while I appreciate your extraordinary role in bringing mobile to the nook and corner of the country, for which you need my compliments, I've given to understand the last 6 to 7 months you have installed 90,000 sites. Balaji, you said about 3,000 sites of your own. And I include even BSNL in that. And this I will continue to monitor. This I will continue to request. And let me tell you, it is in your interest to give a good quality of service. As far as I am concerned, I will ensure an enabling atmosphere, which I have done. As far as I am concerned, I will ensure a fair, competitive atmosphere. And I want to assure you, I shall be biased in favor of no one. I will be prejudiced against no one. A clear, honest, transparent mechanism shall be there. But what is important, I want to assure you, but what is important for you also is to ensure on your own self, to identify the gaps, reinforce the network, and if it requires investment, invest in the network. That's what I expect from you. Because what is my last take? When the Prime Minister says, I want governance in the palm of every Indian, obviously it means the smartphone, it means the phone. And when you talk of JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile, M is the last component of JAM. And therefore the M has to be good, has to be effective, and delivery has to be flawless. That's my expectation from all of you. And remember one thing very clearly. The quest of the consumers of Indian telephony for a quality service is going to rise and rise. And you need to rise to the occasion. And I fully acknowledge your capability, potential to rise to the occasion. What is important is for all of you to consider that. It was wonderful talking to you. If anything is left out, I am always available for a dialogue, for engagement. I will do my duty, you all do duty, you all do your duty, because between us, we have a common duty towards the country. Thanks a lot. Namaskar.
Well, thank you very much, Honourable Minister, for talking to us and sparing some of your most valuable time joining us on our today's program. Inviting Shri Balaji now to give the concluding remarks and propose a vote of thanks.
I have no words to thank the Honourable Minister for not just taking time to be here, but to share his vision, the platform on which he is talking about Digital India, the 5 specific platforms, and the opportunity that he showed us, I think, should open our eyes to the limitless possibilities ahead. Although we are caught in some of the meetings relating to the Standing Committee on Parliament, it would be my duty to thank Mr. Deepak, Ms. Aruna Sharma, as well as Mr. Arish Sharma, who was there in the morning, to listen to our issues and start the dialogue that we did today. Our sectoral associations, COAI, OSPI, TAIPA, ICA, and their broad leaders who are here with us. Our knowledge partner, KPMG, senior government officials, all senior all executives and colleagues from the industry, friends from media, and everyone else who has made this a very, very meaningful initiative for all of us. Thank you very much once more.